Hello and welcome back to yet another video. Doing alright, 2 in a week, pretty good going for me. So, today we are going to look at a guide to building T15 depending on your bus. Now, quick disclaimer about that. This guide is just a rough help. Obviously there's multiple things that are going into making these decisions, such as server age, your opponents you're facing, what sort of competition are you actually dealing with, and other things like this. So this isn't going to be a set in stone, you get to this, you're going to have to build this. This is just hopefully a helpful guide into either telling you when you should be building certain T15, or in other ways, also giving you a plan of action to how to best utilize your T15 if you already have them, as many of us do. So to get all this information, I haven't gone through and done lots of numbery bits. I've mainly been going around speaking to some people I know about T15 and what sort of bus they reckon you need or should have for certain uses of T15. And some of that does come down to just having a feel for it, but using an educated guess, and I lined it up with my own thinkings, and a lot of people came out to roughly the same sort of ideas. There's a bit of discrepancy, but I think this is the overall gist of it, of what I got from speaking to multiple people. So, your stage 1 is your Paper Tiger, your 2000 and under bus. This is for attacking defense, but defense you can get away with a little bit more just because of how it all works, but let's go with the 2000 and under. So at this stage, you do not want to be rushing your T15. You want to make sure that you're only, if you do have them, you're only using them for a little bit of layering, just to help get that extra hit in, because at this point, they're a very expensive point piñata. They're going to be whacked around, they're not going to really show up their strength, because the amount of points you're losing from them dying, it's not making up for the fact that you don't have the buffs to support them yet. Now, like I said, it's the layering that these are for. Layers are important. We know this. There's lots of videos out there about this. Layering is important. So you might have some just for layers, or just to have them unlocked for certain Glory Arena events and such. But you do not want to be producing these on a mass scale at this stage. So the next stage that we're going to look at is once you get to about the 2500% stage, so 2500, where you're starting to get a bit of behind you, but it's not quite there yet. You've got enough where actually it makes sense to use these, especially in, like, say, attacking march or potentially a reinforce, where as long as you're kind of hitting that 2500%, you can get a bit of damage done. You can really be a bit more of an asset to your team, but you don't really want to be using them too much more, because you kind of want to use them more as a offensive or a reinforcing, because at least you can control it with making sure you only build one march worth. You don't want to be going around building so many that in a defense you can't ghost them if necessary, or ghost a lot of them, because they are just 3 points. Now, there are a bit of a caveat with some of them, such as like ground T15 and stuff, where they are still very useful and they will add a good layer of block. But for the most part, you don't want to be building lots of these T15, even if it is ground, to make sure that you can hold it back a bit. Do not spend the resource on it. Use that to get to the next, I don't know, keep level, keep 41, 42, or academy level, just to get those buffs up a bit more. The academy itself, the academy after level 40 is a big thing, and can give you some big buffs towards it, which leads nicely into the academy focus, which is stage 3. So you're at the 2500, you're probably getting to that point where you really do want to be making them, but you just need to make sure that you're not wasting resources. Use those resources to boost your academy. I've done a video just recently on should you do Military Academy 5 research or 6 and 7 together instead. That there's lots of conversation around it, and You should be looking at doing it the most efficient way possible, and using your resources for troops when they're just going to be point piñatas. Don't do it. Use it to increase your city development, your research development. That stuff is permanent. Do not throw away resources, especially if you're on a bubble or burn server where this could be a permanent loss. It's not like it's a battlefield loss or an SVS loss where you can use it with soul. You could actually just lose this resource, or at least have to spend even more to revive it. Do not waste it. Your resource is precious. You want to make sure you use it properly. Other things to look at, not just as an academy focus, but other ways you can look at it is you've got to make sure your blazons are correct. If you're not spending a lot, try and get more generalized, or at least ones that balance each other out, to make sure that if you need more defending busts to get to that 2500 or above, that you're looking at prioritizing it. When it comes to the recent video I did about MA5 and MA6 and 7, MA5 can be useful here, even though it is slightly more expensive, to target specific troop types and specific either attacking, defense, or reinforcing for that troop type if you need it. You don't have to do it generally. You can pinpoint where your problem is and fix it using MA5 at this point, which can be really helpful. And just make sure you do permanent upgrades. Don't try and build these troops. Build, I don't know, 8 million of them, where you're not going to be able to fill a march at this size, because you're probably not K44, K45 whenever you get to 8 million march size. And you shouldn't be using them in that way anyway. But just make sure that you're really pushing your development. This game is about long-term growth and making sure that you build yourself up. Then we're getting to stage 4. You've got the tech. You've got the upgrades. You're looking at about 3,000%. Now, when I was talking to people, it's 3,000 attack. As in, like, when you're attacking people. Like, obviously, try and get your attack, defense, HP, you want it up. Obviously, there is a priority on the bus where you want to make sure you have your attack, your HP, then your defense. But that's for the attack. People were having a bit of an and ah about defense, where some people would tell you that actually 2,500 for a defense is a pretty good defense for T15. Others were saying, no, you should probably stick to 3,000 with defense as well. But this is kind of where it, like I said at the beginning, it comes to your opponents and stuff like that, how old your server is and all this jazz. And I would say, personally, my point of view would be that 3,000 for attacking, 2,500 for defense is probably what you're looking at this sort of, I've called it the unbubble zone. It's basically just where you've got, so you can build these T15 as a defense layering as well as your marches. You can use them in a more positive way and try and make the most out of them. Not all T15 is equal. Some are stronger and weaker. I would caution anyone who isn't spending to building much siege at all to defend yourself. These, unfortunately, will always be point piñatas. There will always be much bigger fish in the sea. You will never be able to really defend them if someone wants to get rid of them. Try and keep yourself low. Make sure you've got the ground. Make sure you've got some ranged and some mounted as well. But try to stick away from the siege a little bit. Now, if you disagree, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear your side of why you think T15 Siege is, if you disagree with me. But I do think T15 Siege can be still a mistake, even at that level. This is the level where you can be building millions more. Like, obviously, don't go nuts. Test it out. Go into Battlefield. See how your reports look like. But yes, don't use this guide as a cut and dry, this is definitely how you got to do it. You've got to take this into Battlefield. You've got to take this into a place where you can test it out and you can kind of find out where you lie, where does it actually work out. This is just, as I said, a rough guide. It's not the complete rule at all. But this will help people work out where they are, where they should be aiming for and going when it comes to that T15. Because T15, for probably 99% of players in this game, is your end game unit. This is the end. You're not going to get to T16 unless Evony changes things. It is kind of out of reach for a lot of small coiners or free-to-play players. You need to make the most out of the troop that has the most potential for power without dipping in and becoming an unreliable player for your team. You don't want to be giving out points in Battlefield or STVS. You want to be a useful, productive member of your team who can punch above their weight, and this will hopefully help you get to that stage. And of course, by the time you get there, you'll probably have more knowledge than I can provide you here, and this is this is less about the knowledge that I'm providing you in terms of like hard numbers and stuff. This is more just helping you get a feel for it, helping players that are coming up to get an idea for where you should be looking at. Not so much for the I need 40% extra here because this is going to help me really survive this hit, or making these small adjustments. This is just a basic, let's try and get here. Once you get to here, you should be good to go, and you can then make adjustments then. And by the time you get there, you should hopefully have the knowledge to be able to start making these adjustments, or have people around that you can ask for help. Well, hopefully by that point, I'll have another video up where I'm more informed about a specific area, and I can then help guide people into making better and more informed decisions. At the end of the day, this is what my channel is built around, is that I just want to help people try and make the most and try and be as efficient as possible in a game that is stacked up against you, especially when it comes to local and free-to-play players. We need to be as efficient as possible, and hopefully this guide, with me talking through it and also having it on screen just as a way to reference and look at it, will help you guys make these decisions. You may have skipped me talking about all this and been watching this the entire time, but if you have made it to the end, please drop me a like and a subscribe. I'm so close to 200 subscribers, and it's been amazing to see that jump up with my more recent videos, and it really gives me a nice feel when I'm making these that people are actually liking them, and a subscribe is definitely the way to tell me, especially when I know that only 5% of my watch time is from subscribers. I know lots of you are lurking out there. Please subscribe, and I'll catch you in another video. Thank you so much for listening. See you next time.